understanding themselves differently. Reintegration, so working with families, and we'll talk about KPJ, what that does. Resocialization, so helping both the child and the family and the communities relearn the potential of this child. And then prevention, so by identifying the factors that contribute to children living on the streets and having a model that addresses those, we can hopefully prevent children going to the streets. So that's the 4R+P model. The program findings, so we looked at the first set of like 250 kids that we had through the rescue center, and we saw that 180 of them were resocialized. Some of them, 26 were repeat engagements. So really, out of 227 kids, we had 180 reintegrate with families. And the majority of them, or half of them at least, went to families and were in school. Some of them went to boarding schools, some of them returned to the streets, unfortunately. But the kids whose families were in the KPJ program had a higher probability of being at home and staying in school. So now, including directly reintegrated children, we have helped over 500 kids off of the streets. And this is the first, this QR code is the first peer-reviewed publication showing that you can reintegrate children who have been on the streets with their families and their broader communities, and how to do that. This was in 2012, what I really wanted to see. And I became upset that there were millions of kids on the street and no sense of what really to do. So we put forward this blueprint. We put forward a masterclass to try to help people who want to take the model and use it or change it or improve it, whatever. We want to put it in other people's hands. And when parents and communities are involved, reintegration outcomes are better for kids. So we need to think about multi-levels. KPJ, Kuja Pamoja Kwajani, we begin with the Village Savings and Lending Association, or Silk Savings Internal Lending Community, or table banking, where it's driven by a process. So globally, when these type of groups fail, it's mostly because there is a failure in leadership. Like the person who's leading is corrupt or not trusted, or something like that. So instead of there being a single leader, we have rotational facilitation, where this is a process. Everyone brings their 20 shillings, sometimes upwards of 50 shillings. 10% tends to be the interest that people repay with. And anyone is invited. So whoever wants to participate in a village can come in and participate. It's not limited by how much money we have at any point in time. So we have universal recruitment. And that actually we began because when we started in 2017, this KPJ program, there were other community members that came and said, my kids aren't on the street yet, but we have the same challenges they do. Do our kids have to go to the streets first, or can we join this program? So we said, okay, we'll change our plans. We had thought we would do more intensive investment in these families, but we realized that the investment they need is each other, in a way that they trust each other and can move and change and improve things together. So that's how we shifted. And they say now about the kids who come back, they don't say chokora. They say the stone that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. This kid had stigma, but through this kid, this program has come to the community. So then after about 4 months, we invite these groups to begin parliamentary committees, just to represent their concerns at a higher level, to help them navigate conflict at a higher level. And then they liaise with external stakeholders and help facilitate decision-making and goal setting for the whole community, or at least the participants. We have a curriculum that I'll show you in a second called Pathways to Flourishing, which addresses this psychological element. It's based in positive psychology, psychological flexibility, which are some of the things that came up in the data for why kids are going to the street. And then finally, resource committees. So members who, when you have, within a village, you can have maybe 6 or 8 groups at times, which is 200, 300, 400 people, but you can have upwards of 30, 35 groups in a village, and you get 1,000 people there. When you have 1,000 people coming to the same place every week, who are learning to trust each other and talk about their issues, you can help organize them into resource committees that are focused on specific areas that they find relevant to them. So we'll see more about that in a minute. So